Woo! I tell you what, people, this is crazy right now. We got about 20 minutes worth of technical difficulties. I'm going to try to get my boy Chris back on here, and we're going to have, we're going to have something good going on. I think we had it fixed. You might be seeing me messing around. Here he is. All right, let's get this thing. Come on.
Did it work?
It sounds good on my end.
Sounds
my
good to
gosh.
me.
Thank goodness.
I don't understand. Maybe it was because I didn't have my Cowboys jersey in the
That's
picture.
exactly what it was.
Didn't like that room.
Dude. All right. This is like, I was just telling people, 20 minutes into it, to the technical difficulties, and we finally get this thing figured out.
Hey, man, next time we'll be right on point, though, and we'll start right at 10 o'clock.
No, this is good. I don't know what the heck the deal is. I mean, the good thing is, I take this recording, I rip it off Facebook, and it's probably a good thing for them to know when I put this out there. But I get it off Facebook and I post it on YouTube, so it's out there so everybody can go back and take a look.
I like it.
Pete, yeah, baby. Dude, thanks for coming on. I was kind of sharing with people before. The purpose of doing these is I've done some Facebook Lives with some other buddies, and the purpose of doing these is kind of like, we got some crazy times. We don't ever have problems going to find negative culture or negative stuff going on. But especially right now, I know Texas is opening up restrictions quite a bit. But fear with the pandemic, with the current culture smashing going on, a lot of the stuff happening. A lot of people are stuck on their phones, social media. They go kind of down the wrong rabbit holes. I know I'm guilty of it lots. But what I want to do is this, especially former players or any sort of NFL players, we always hear the bad stories about guys and negative stuff. But what I want to do is I want to highlight good people that are in my life. And especially, it's always cool with the guys like us who have some cool background, like Cowboys or NFL, whatever. But I want to highlight guys that are doing awesome. One, with their business, with their family, share some triumph, but share some backstory. And so that's the purpose. And so what I wanted, one, thanks for coming on. But like, if you could start these guys up, and for you guys who don't know, Chris and I we actually only met several months ago for the first time. But turns out we live basically down the street from each other, and so we live in the same communities, and so we know a whole lot of the same people right now, which is really cool, despite our football background. And so, but what I wanted to see, like, dude, kind of the stuff we talked about before when we were shooting the breeze was, I'm like, man, where'd you come from? And if you guys got questions or something in the meantime, can you see those people coming up on your screen?
I can't see them on mine, but
that's
just
right.
let me know.
If you guys got questions, I'll try to get to them. But other than that, man, this is just a little conversation. Like, let's beat the bush a little bit and see what's going on. But like, where'd you grow up? Coming into football? Something powerful that was in your life or your family or coaches or friends or whatever that really was a kind of catalyst coming up. And so start there.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the middle of the five brothers, man. So five boys in a household in Buffalo, New York. That's where we came from. Yeah. So huge Bills fans. My dad went to all the Super Bowls. He hung up all like the seat cushions that you used to get back in the day. He'd hang them on his wall. And we grew up, cheering for Jim Kelly in the Bills, man. So we were Bills Mafia all the way. But having five boys in a household, it was just mayhem. Like I just had my third boy, and I'm like, how did my parents have five? They're out of control. But every day started with a fight, every day ended with a fight, and it was over everything, man. It would be, who could eat faster. It would be backyard baseball. We played little mini sticks in the basement, and every single thing we did was a competition. And we were that house that it wasn't just us five. It was us five plus one or two of our friends as well. So there'd be like, 10, 20 people at our house every day, and it was just all out. So if I couldn't beat my older brother up, Dan, who was 2 years older than me, I'll try to fight his friends instead. And if I beat them up, that was bragging rights for the day, for the week, for the month, and that's kind of how the household was. So I think a lot of that led to us being successful in sports, especially early on. We played hockey and baseball, and hockey was really that first sport where you were able to hit people, and you were also able to fight people as well. So my dad had a rule that everything was take it outside. If there's a problem, take it outside, and you guys can fight. You just couldn't kick each other in the balls, and you couldn't hit each other in the face, and that that was the rules. So if there's a problem, all right, man, go settle it. And he even set up this game where he called it Zoom, where we'd actually take pillows like this, and we put in our shirt and we just run full speed at each other and try to knock each other out that way. And then you pin the guy down and just keep jumping at him, stuff like that. But sorry, my door just rang, so you might hear my dogs. But that's kind of how we were raised. I think we were also raised to earn every single thing that we got. So my dad early.
Oh, you got a little freeze going on. Come on, get him back. Hopefully able to get Chris back on here in a second. But I don't know about you guys. I can relate with the brothers deal. I'm middle of 3 boys. I can't imagine being middle of 5. We used to beat each other up. Of us 3 boys, but I was also the crybaby. So it was a little rough. We lost him, so we'll get Chris back here in a second. But I can relate to that a little bit, and I don't know if you guys can too. But we used to beat the living crap out of each other, and actually one time, and I'll show you this tooth right here is actually fake. Oh, there he is. Here we go. Let's get you back in here, man. He's coming. There you are.
Wife's calling the phone, man, and it cut out. I didn't know it would do that.
You're good. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with that. That's no big deal. I was sitting there. I was telling people because I always got to fill in time, right? When if you bounce out, yeah. So I'm telling people, I'm middle of 3 boys. I can't imagine being middle of 5. And same thing. We fought each other like crazy. And I was just telling people, I'm like, I was the biggest, but I was also the crybaby. And of course, my buddy Pete's talking trash. He's like, of course, you're always the crybaby. But one of my buddy's friends, you're talking about that. He actually pushed me into my bunk bed post one time, and knocked out this tooth. So this tooth right here is fake.
Nice.
So
man.
That was You were talking about always fighting and coming in. But your dad, I think you guys were always taught to work for everything, and stopped right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So one story before that, I remember one time Rob came behind me with a hockey stick. Like we had the little mini sticks. They're plastic, and he gave me a couple welts over my back. So I chased him, and he'd always try to lock himself in the bathroom when he did something like that, run away. And I got the door open just in time, and just the momentum of the door opening and me running through it, I threw him, and he hit the bathtub, the back of his head, and was knocked out. And I was like, "Oh man, this is bad, right?" And so he woke back up after a couple minutes, and I went back in the room I was playing, and 5 minutes later, he comes back with a hockey stick, round 2, man. I'm like, that's kind of how the house was. It just never stopped, man. No matter what, I knocked him out, and he was still coming back for more. But that was it, man. That was kind of our childhood. But like I was hitting on before, our parents taught us really we had to earn everything. When my parents, early on, they really didn't have anything themselves. I know my mom would tell us how my dad, when they got married, he had $50 in his bank account. So really, we didn't have much growing up, especially at first. My dad then worked 6 years. He worked 2 jobs and started his own business. And then after that took off, even when he had the opportunity to provide us with whatever he wanted to, he still wouldn't, because he felt that, he had to teach us that, the value of a dollar, to earn everything, that nothing would ever be handed to you. And I think that was huge for us. And I think that's a challenge, because I have kids now, and, I'm able to provide them with whatever I want to give them. And that's hard to do. And you don't realize how hard it is to actually do until you have kids yourself.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. That's one thing you see for sure. We got our, and you know this, but we got our 5-year-old girl Grace and our 6-month-old boy Hank, and I immediately see the even though we're in this pandemic where everybody's staying home, but like immediately see the bills start going up. You know, we got more expenses from another body in the house, and I'm like, hey, knock it off.
He can eat.
Let's see, Matt Ireland gives me comfort to know that my 3 boys who fight all the time, that it won't end anytime soon. So that's funny.
Oh man, no way. For us, it didn't really happen. It didn't stop until high school, I would say. And really the reason it stopped is because we were so big at that point that, you were going to seriously hurt each other, and we kind of didn't want to fight each other anymore. Like, it was kind of at that point we more supported each other, and we're going against other people. We were teammates. We were playing similar positions. We were helping each other out, and it was more building each other up instead of tearing each other down at that point. So when we were young, it was all about, man, like, I am not going to let him beat me in anything. It was vicious. If one of my brothers beat me in something, that was a bad day. And as we grew up, and even now, it's just all about supporting each other and building each other up now.
Man, what I love about brothers, and I don't know if this is excuse me, everywhere, but I know a lot on East Coast is like this. But we grew up, I mean, same thing, beating the living hell out of each other, right? And then what was funny is like, all right, we grew up, it became a whole lot more abusive with the bodies, like if we're beating each other up now. But I remember stuff like, I don't know what, it solidified the relationship. Crossed my mind was, I was on a cruise. My wife and I were on a cruise with my younger brother Casey and his wife, a Disney cruise, and him and I went up to like the adults only deck where you can like have a cigar, and so we're having a beer, and we just sat next to these 2 guys, but one guy was just like crazy drunk and himself, and it was wild, but he was totally bipolar in the situation, and he was all laughing 1 second after another, and we're all sitting in the 4 of us in this circle at this table, and all of a sudden he would flip the switch and start staring right at my brother like, you got a problem? And he was like, do you want to do something about it? It was the weirdest flip all of a sudden, but he did it twice, and I'm sitting right next to him, so I'm like this, he's looking at me like this, and I'm sitting there staring at him while he's staring across the table at my brother, and I go, do you realize that we are brothers right now? And he just kind of looks at me. I go, if you want to pick something with him, you're going to pick it with me too. Right now, I'm going to throw you off the side of this boat. And so I'm like, and so anyways, the whole thing was basically like, if you're in my family, we're gonna kill for each other, And
Absolutely.
And like that fighting grew up was a solidifying feature, in our brotherhood, and versus anybody outside of it tried to come attack that, kind of like the locker room. I'm like, you better step back, because you're fighting with the devil right now. Somebody's going to, get shook. And so anyways, that's what you kind of made me think of in that.
Hey man, so. That's how it was. That's how it was. Still is to this day. I mean, it's family first, and that's how we were raised.
It's awesome, man. Well, do this. Take me. How did you meet? Brittany's your wife. How did you guys meet? Because I want to get talking about your business post football, and like, how did you guys meet starting out?
Yeah, man. I went to high school together. Went to elementary school together, and then it was kind of on and off from there. And she came to Arizona after I was there. I was at Arizona State for a little bit, and then things were just reconnected, and she was with me all the way through my NFL career as well. So. Man, it's always been there, and I don't know how many years it's been, but she could tell you.
That's awesome. But you guys got three boys now.
Just had our 3rd boy, and I feel like my parents, man. I guess I got to have 2 more to catch up, but I don't know if that will happen. But with her, what ended up happening was, she was with me through the NFL, and my career was, a new team every year, and so she went from Dallas, really from Arizona to Dallas, to Indy, to Denver. And at that point, she said, I'm not going to find I'm not going to go out and find another job. It's kind of what it came down to. Like, I've got a job the last 3 years, and you made me leave it and go somewhere else. So I have to find a way to work from home was kind of her goal. So She started doing stuff like hand painting wine glasses, and I came home and was like, that's cool. It's a cool little hobby, but I didn't think it'd ever
I
go
love it.
anywhere.
That's cool.
And it's really, I mean, it's the truth. And it just took so long. You really couldn't sell it for much. There was no way to scale it, but they sold, and they sold fast, and they sold to the point where she couldn't keep up. And at that point, she had to find a way to start to scale it. So she started doing like vinyl outdoor decals, stuff like that, and started putting them on tumblers. And it really started taking off in the wedding industry. And at that point, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I've never seen anything like this. And it was 2012. There really wasn't that much stuff online yet, and especially personalization. And if there was, it took like a week or two. So at that point, I finished my career in Denver. I re-signed with San Diego, but it took a little bit. So I had a couple months where I was just chilling, and I really started to look into it and was like, hey, man, this industry is ready. There's really only one main competitor. It was Things Remembered at the time, and they're still out there. They're in the malls. They have a bunch of stores, but turnaround time's long. It's expensive, and just really saw a good opportunity there. So started investing some of my money into commercial grade machines, laser engravers, and started actually looking for product to source ourselves and bring in, and started doing that. And then it was doing really well. Started doing really well, and then I went to the Chargers, and I was there for about 5 months, and I got hurt in camp, and my career was over. So went home and just put all my effort into that, and just started to scale that business.
That's that was to Brittany's company first.
Yeah, so her company,
Right.
man, it did so well that my first year outside the NFL, we were actually making more money together than I was playing in the NFL. So I was like,
I love it.
man,
I
that
love
was a pretty good
that.
switch, right? I mean, that almost never happens for an NFL player. Most guys and most of my friends and even family, it's a struggle. All is NFL. It's all you've done your whole life, and you're making so much money that it's hard to go get a job for 60K or whatever the starting is for someone that's already behind the ball, because you've been out of the game of actually being in the corporate world. So it's tough. It's really tough for players, and I got super lucky on that aspect, and did that for about 5 years, and it was great. My wife still has it. It's still growing today. It's still crushing it, but it really wasn't my passion. I still help her. I still do a lot with her today, but it was her passion. And my idea for the ice shaker came about in 2016 when I was just going to the gym all day, every day. Yeah, baby.
I said I had to show people. I'm like, he
Yes,
created one for me, so
I got
it's
the
awesome.
Gronkmania one right here from
Yeah,
WWE.
that's awesome.
But really came down to, I was still lifting every day. I was going to the gym here in Texas, and it was super hot out. And, by the time I got there, my bottle would be sweating. It'd be warm. It'd taste terrible. And I really just wanted one bottle to use all day, every day, instead of bringing one to the gym, one to work, one on trips with me. I just said, man, why isn't there just something out there that's super easy to fill, with the pop top, carrying handle, all that, I could just use for everything, not just the gym, but anywhere I went. So that's where the idea came from. And figured I'd go home and just find something and jump on Amazon or Google. And there was just nothing out there at the time. So I was super passionate about it. And that's really what it takes. I mean, it's for business. If you absolutely love it, you're all in. It's going to work. It's going to work either way, even if there are competitors, even if things happen, which they will. I mean, it's going to be an absolute roller coaster ride no matter what you do. But if you're passionate about it and you love it, you can make it work. You can make it successful.
Heck yeah, man, dude. So touch on this before we keep going into that. What that transition, like you get hurt. Like I remember sharing with people it was devastating, tough for me, because now I got to figure out what the heck I wanted to do now. But you guys had a business coming in, and like, all right, financially doing better than where you were at. I mean, did that help soften the blow a little bit? How was that transition coming in? How was that move for
Yeah.
you, like mentally
So for
going
me,
on?
yeah, for me, man, the good thing about it was that I never thought I'd play at that level. I mean, put it this way, they say it's a 1 in a million chance from day one, right? That's all you hear from your teachers, get your grades, do all that. You come out of Buffalo where nobody gets recruited. I think I was, and I was lucky. I was super lucky to get a scholarship, but I was maybe one out of 8 guys in the whole state of New York that got a Division I scholarship, which is crazy. It's super hard to get recruited out of there for whatever reason, especially out of Buffalo. But I wasn't even the second best player in my own family. So my chances of going to the NFL to me was zero for the most part for my whole life. And really up until my junior year was the first year I started, and was the first time someone ever told me like, hey man, you have a chance. So even when they came in at that point, it was like, no, I don't. So I'm
Mm,
going to go get the best grades, the best degree that I can. And I went and got an accounting degree at the business school at Arizona. But up until then, I never thought I had a chance. So when I went into it, I thought, man, if I could get 1 year, that's amazing. That's a great start for me. That's a great way to, start my life with a decent chunk of money in my bank account. So for me to get 3, I was like, wow, I never thought I'd get vested. I never thought I'd get the 401k and all the benefits from it. So when I got to 3, I was like, man, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it. And then, I went into my 4th year. I got hurt. I took an injury settlement and got a 4th year out of it. So that was just a bonus for me. But I was doing well, and then I didn't have a ton of phone calls coming, so it wasn't like everyone was knocking on my door. And I went to one tryout in Miami, and I tore my hamstring, and I ruptured it actually, and completely gone, rolled up, and they said, hey, you actually are absolutely like you're fine if you want to be a normal person. If you want to live the rest of your life and not play
mm.
football, you're fine. You could let a scar
If you want
down.
to be a normal person, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, pretty much how they put it. Um, you're fine. You just won't have the explosion, that you had before, for the most part. But it'll scar down. You'll be fine. You can still do everything you normally do. I can't do like, heavy hamstring curls or anything like that. But I can play basketball. I can do everything else. It doesn't bother me at all at this point. But it was either that or have surgery. And so for me, it was an easy decision. I had surgery once for a torn pec, and I'm like, man, nobody's really calling me. No one's really knocking on the door. And I really don't want to have surgery again. So, and then I had the backup plan of this business that was doing really well. So for me, it was almost, the injury was almost a blessing that said, hey, you're done. You wrap it up and let's move on to the next part, because it's hard, man. It's hard because there's always that what if, and you could always go back and say, man, I had more left in the tank. And I think that's kind of what my brother saw. And he's back now. So I never had that regret. And that's what I love about it.
That's awesome, man. I tell you, it's funny because I love talking with a lot of young guys right now because, and this is not just athletes, but there's a lot of people struggling in their life because of the lack of choice, right? The indecision,
Yeah.
the lack of initiative to just move in a direction.
Let's get it done.
And Brandon, let's see, football dedication, 2020 minutes, sending out Tony Dungy tracks. I can't see the whole thing, Brandon. I'm sorry. Well, but what I love sharing with these young guys is like a lot of guys have this dream, right? It is the one in a million. You want to make it to the league. I love it. It's great. And I tell everybody, go for it. Okay. But don't wait on anybody else to choose you. Because, and this is what happens. And then I wish I would have made a move earlier post career than I did. And I'm okay with how everything turned out because we're good. But I remember, I look back at my life and I remember so many times where I said no to other opportunities because I was waiting on the chance that you would call me to come work out for the team or something. I'm like, man, I sit back and I'm like, I should have taken those before because, worst case scenario, you're making choices for your life, this is what I see what you did, and you're progressing. You might have still wanted to play even then, and who knows if you're going to get another opportunity, but you're not holding out for it, right? You're staying prepared, but you're not holding out. So I love sharing with these guys, hey, go after it, get your workout, stay in shape, stay explosive, all these things, but go after something that you know you can get right now. And then if somebody calls you, awesome.
Yeah.
And then go do that, right? And so anyways, that's what I think is really powerful. I think it's cool for you because if somebody would have called, maybe you might have entertained that. And who knows, you might have taken it. But you're like, you know what, I'm going to make a move for my family right now. And luckily or thankfully, it was in a really great spot. And you guys had already made some choices that were going places. So that's really cool. I don't know. Do you see something like that with guys getting hung up? Or what would you
Yeah,
share with
absolutely.
young guys coming into that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I see guys that get hung up for years. Man, they keep chasing it, chasing it, chasing it, and like you said, it just puts you behind all those years. I agree with you with what you're saying. Is I think there's still an opportunity to go after what you want to do next, but still train at the same time and be ready for that call. I was doing that for a little bit, at first, because it was kind of, man, that's all I knew, It was like, there's no way this is over yet. I've done this for the last 15 years, all the way back to high school. So that was still there a little bit, but at the same time, it was, I'm going to continue to move forward and do as much as I can. And, if it happens, it happens. But, that was always that's something I couldn't control. And what I could control was, the business and what I was doing, and how I was progressing on that front. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think a guy needs to 100%, put all his marbles into training, because, man, how much can you really train in one day? You maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours max, on a tough day, on a long day. So, you still have at least another 8 hours in the day, to go do other things, and find other things that you're passionate about. So, yeah, I think guys as early as possible should start moving forward to that next step. And even when you're playing, I think there should be a game plan as well. And I always had one, because every day for me was, what am I actually doing here? How did I get here? Am I going to get cut today? It was kind of how I looked at every day. So I always had, something in the back of my mind that I was kind of, game planning for, because I honestly just didn't think that I was going to stay that long.
Right. That's good, man. I like it. I mean, that, I don't know. There's so many good that comes out of that for sure. So we'll do this. Come into Ice Shaker and tell us how we started, because I've come across a lot of people that have great ideas, great things that they think they're called to do, but they freeze and they never do it, whatever the reason. How did you make the choice to do something? And when you decided to do it, what was your first few steps?
Man, it's tough, and it's always a grind. And people, they'll tell me all the time, like, oh, I had that idea years ago. And I'm like, yeah, it's a great idea, but it's very, very hard to actually do it, to move on it. It really is. And a lot of people said, it must have been nice just having this big fan base and being able to just move right into it and sell product. But that wasn't the case at all. I had a small social media following at the time. It was mostly Twitter. And, my first post that I ever put up about the product, I hadn't posted for probably 6 months before that. So everyone saw it, or the people that did see it were like, man, I don't know this guy. I don't trust him. I don't know what that is. I never heard that product. There's no trust there at all. So it was hard. The first week, first day, I think I sold one bottle, and that was it. And that was an eye opener for me. I was like, wow, as cool as I think it is, and I have 20,000 followers on on Twitter, I guess at that time. And it was like, man, if 1% of them buy it, I'm doing all right, right? And that's not the case at all. I had to go out there and absolutely grind at first to get the product in front of people. I had to find ways to, game the algorithms on Amazon to get it to show up in front of people's faces as well, and optimize all that. But making the product itself was a challenge. It took over 20 different prototypes before we had a bottle that we thought was good enough to bring to the market. And now when I look back at it, it was terrible. It was our first model, man. It was the most basic thing ever, and it sucked. It was it sold, but and looking at it now, it was like, man, we could have done so much better on that first one. But that, the money is always an aspect of it, and people are going to say they don't have money or they can't raise money. You always can. For me, it was always start small. My wife's business was probably started with $500 max. Mine, I could bring in a couple hundred units at first if I needed to, and just make sure they sold. But it wasn't, millions of dollars or anything like that. Maybe max to start Ice Shaker would have been like 20 grand, to get everything in place, and really, get it to where it needed to be to see if it was going to be successful or not. And then, that's when I like to go all in. It's kind of one concept, and it's going to work, then take it to that next level. But everyone has great ideas, man, and it's just super hard to actually move on them. And there's going to be so many obstacles in the way just to start it, and then so many more to actually get it going and get it to a place where people trust it. It took us months to get reviews up, and to get it in front of people and actually show them, get them talking about it before we really started selling any. It probably took a month before we started selling maybe 5 of them a day. And that was a good day. That was like, man, we sold over $100 today. Like, we're killing it right now, right? And I mean, everything's just a process. It's a grind, and the biggest thing is connections, and those take forever to make. Every single day you try to meet someone new or introduce it to somebody new, and it just spider webs. It goes from person to person to person. If it's a good product, if it's good service, and that's kind of how you have to treat everything. Is you got to treat everyone right because they're a customer, but they might also bring on another 5 that might bring on another 10, and it all just kind of spider webs from there. So that's really how you have to look at everything. And that's kind of how you have to see it too, is that, it's going to start small and then it's going to spread.
Right. That's good, man. I had first first thing, I think of was when you and I connected on the phone for the first time. And I used to, before I came into the financial industry, I ended up I was in sales before working at selling to gyms.
Yep.
And so a lot of gyms buy Ice Shaker, and it was funny because I just thought it was funny. You made the comment that stood out to me that is 100% true. They're like, I think you visited a couple, or you called on a couple gyms locally just around us, and they didn't know about Ice Shaker. They didn't know about your product. And so you're like, how am I not dominating my backyard?
Yeah.
You know? And so they're like, everybody here should know exactly what that is. And so it was cool because that's that we ended up getting hooked up because I sold to a whole lot of CrossFit gyms before, and so they same thing. As soon as we both had Dallas Cowboy backgrounds, that's how they connected us. But a lot of good people. And so, anyways, the reason I bring that up is so true because it comes to a little bit of the grassroots. We need a great online presence, social media, and all that is important because we got to go where the people are. But I mean, we start small. I know some awesome people around DFW who build massive businesses just in DFW.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody outside of DFW knows who they are, but they are killing it right here. And then that's how it grows. And then all of a sudden a brand name comes out of Austin, named Tito's or something like that,
Yeah.
where you're just like, man, one guy, and it starts catching fire other places. And that's where a lot of that brand loyalty starts coming. But it's so cool. I love it because he sent me one that's really cool. I tell you, the best thing we use it for, the most I use it for, Megan, my wife, steals the white one that you gave me all the time. But like, you can fit a different top on here so you can drink out of it just like a normal mug. And that's probably what I use it for the most. But I think they're awesome. I think they're badass. So it's pretty cool. What are you guys working on? I like to keep it about 30 minutes. We're kind of past that time, but Brandon, this is how I felt coming into ministry, yet God has provided so many ways. That's good, man, at some point. What if there was something, I don't know if you got something you've been chewing on lately or something you want to leave for the people, if you got some sort of encouragement or something that's gone through you guys have dealt with lately that's been tough, but you're able to work through. If you got something to say, what's something you would have for the people right now in today's
Yeah, man,
life?
for sure. For me, what I've learned in business, and that's so many things, really, so many things have came from it. But the biggest I think is just leading with value. I think that's huge, and that's something that I really learned over time, almost on accident. I'll start putting out workouts and nutrition plans, and I give away everything free. It's not like I'm asking for anything, but even 7-day shred programs that I'm like, hey man, I'm just gonna write down everything I eat, everything I drink, what time I wake up, how many calories I'm taking in, and let's just give it away to people for free because they're asking for it and they want to know and they're interested. So kind of with the business, I've learned that if you lead with value, it always comes back to you. And so that's been huge. And in times like this with Corona and everything shutting down, a lot of people are saying, hey, there's really nothing I can do. Maybe your business is closed, whatever it is. But, when that happened to us, we said, hey, what can we do at this time to bring value to everybody? We can't necessarily, do anything with the gyms right now, but I can provide them workouts. So I reached out to some of our partners like Gold's Gym and Lifetime, which they didn't need any, but Gold's Gym did, and I made them a bunch of workouts, and I'm on their website now, with a couple featured workouts. We're reaching out to our followers and just saying, hey, what would you like to see? And this is all stuff that just value adds. That at some point, hopefully, they use it and they share it and they gain value from it, and then it just brings back trust to us and more value to us as well. So everything that I've kind of learned through business and through these tough times is, just lead with value, give something to people that they can actually use, and they're going to appreciate you. And at some point, they're probably going to help you out as well if you get in tough times as well.
That's true, man. It's going to come back tenfold. It's 100%. And that's true in your marriage. Come on, man. You know that.
Yeah, man.
You
Oh
gotta
yeah.
give a little. Come on, man.
We all 3 kids, you know that.
But it's so true, man. You know, when we don't give to get. The whole point of giving is to give, not to receive. But I totally give with the expectation that at some point, I don't know what the receiving will be, but at some point it will come back to me. And what's cool about that is it releases the expectation. If I give to you, you have to give to me. You know, if I know God's going to give me this somehow, it doesn't. I don't care where it comes from. If that gives me a better marriage, you know, all of a sudden, baby mama come home and give me a nice little love when she comes home through the door. I'm like, that's a win. And so I totally have that. But that's a big thing for a lot of people is to give, knowing that it's going to come back at some point, but not expecting it to come from any individual. So that's big, man. Shoot, brother. I know you're busy. I know you got things to do. Tell Brittany thanks for letting me kill you for a little bit. But man, I'm thankful for you jumping on, even though we had the issues go at the beginning.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I hope the kids weren't too loud in the background. I heard them screaming a couple times, but thanks for having me on, man. And we'll chat soon. We'll chat soon. We got to meet up soon.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I'm going to share this to YouTube, share it with your crowd. If you guys, there's some questions in the comments. I know that people always appreciate you going back and hollering at them. That get a good jazz out of that. But I'm super thankful for it, man. But you be good, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, Chris. See you,
Later.
brother.